Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the meeting of the Council for the 25th of February 2026. I now commence the meeting. If able, would you please stand for acknowledgement? Thank you. Central Goldfields Shire Council respectfully acknowledges and extends its appreciation to the Judge Wurrung people, the traditional owners of the land we are standing on today. We pay our respects to leaders and elders past, present and emerging. They hold the memories, traditions and culture of the people and hopes of the Judge Wurrung people. Almighty God, we ask that you be present in this council, direct and guide our deliberations. We ask that you grant us wisdom and sensitivity as we deal with the business of the Central Goldfields Shire. May each decision that we advance the well-being of all of our residents. This we pray. Amen. Thank you. Item 2 on tonight's agenda is apologies. I don't believe we have any apologies this evening. We move to item 3, declarations of conflict of interests. I believe that Councillor De Villiers will declare a conflict of interest, and also Councillor Long will declare a conflict of interest. Thank you both. Item 4 is confirmation of minutes from previous council meetings. This is in 2 parts. One, I propose the minutes of the 19th of November last year, 2025, which were not confirmed consequently on December 17 the same year, and also the minutes of that meeting, December 17, be confirmed. Councillors, do I have a mover and a seconder for the confirmation of the minutes of the council meeting held on the 19th of November 2025 and the council meeting held on 17th of December, the compound motion? Thank you very much. Councillor Barton moved. Councillor Mine seconded. Thank you. I'll put that all in favour. Vote, please. That is carried. Item 5 on this evening's agenda is minutes of delegated advisory committees. Councillors, there are no minutes of delegated advisory committees. Item 6, in respect to petitions, we have a petition that's been received regarding the objection to the Capital D 038-25 Gap 7 Sebastopol Road, a 34 dwelling development. There's a recommendation that the council refer the petition to the CEO for consideration as prescribed by the government's rules. Do I have a mover? Thank you. Councillor Vella, and second, Councillor Barton. Would you like to speak to the motion?
No, I don't wish to. It's fine. Thank you very much.
I'd like to speak to the motion there.
Yes, Councillor Barton.
So we count 391 signatures on the petition. That's an amazing achievement. The community have spoken and made themselves heard loud and clear. Community angst is what I'm hearing. So in my experience and observation, that people generally just go along with the flow, and we're happy to also when this is only 21 subdivision. It's barely noted. However, a fire has now been lit. The ratepayers have been awakened by this issue and want to be heard and deserve to be heard. That's what social democracy is all about.
Thank you very much, Councillor Barton. Is the motion opposed? Would any other councillors like to speak to the motion? In that case, we'll take that for vote. Thank you, councillors. That is carried. We move to item 7 on the agenda, officers' reports. We have a recommendation, councillors, on page 47. Would any councillor like to move the motion? Yes, Councillor Barton.
Move that motion there.
Thank you. And second.
I'll second it.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Barton, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, I would, Mayor. Again, this agenda item is basically procedural, and not as highly contentious as other items before us tonight, but it should be considered of no less importance given at its core this is one of the foundational documents that govern and operate. The report outlines recent legislative changes not only to the Planning and Environment Act 1987, the updates from the 25th of November 2025, which form the bulk of the amendments. There also is other acts like 2003 Cemeteries Act, the 1994 Domestic Animals Act, the 1984 Food Act, the 2017 Heritage Act, the 1989 Local Government Act, 1997 Residential Tenancies Act, and the 2004 Road Management Act. It's 8 separate delegations which are contained within the amendments. And as well as that, there's regulations extras to the Act, which also are added to the mix, and there's something like 622 provisions affected. So as such, this report is basically about us implementing good governance as per our theme. Theme number 6 of the council plan about embedding those principles. And the report also goes on to point out on page 48 that there is no requirement for community consultation in relation to the review of instruments, and that is rightfully so, being that it is flowing down from state government. I, however, staying true to the council plan theme 3 about an informed and engaged community, on 6.3 talks about integrity and transparency. So I believe ratepayers need to be kept up to date with changes to all of these delegations, and as elected representative of the community and their voice at the table, I believe it's crucial we inform them of the amount of changes and sometimes even the costs incurred. And to that end, I'm informed this afternoon that this update we subscribe to Maddox, as mentioned in the report as well, and that's an annual cost of about $4,400, and the community needs to bear that in mind as well. Executing good governance and spending their money wisely, because without the instruments in place, things go wrong.
Thank you, Councillor Bartlett. We are indebted to your detailed analysis. Thank you very much. Councillor Williams, would you care to speak to the matter?
I think Councillor Bartlett said it all. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the motion opposed? Would any other councillors wish to speak to the motion? In that case, I'll take that to the vote. That is carried. We now move to item 7.2 this evening's agenda.
Mr Mayor, this is where I'll excuse myself.
Yes, thank you very much. Councillor Villiers will now leave the room during this item due to a declared conflict of interest. Thank you, Councillor Villiers. We have a recommendation page 133. It's a long one, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. I'm Debt CEO, 133 146. Do we have a mover of a recommendation? Yes, Councillor Murphy. Second. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Block.
So the
Speak to the motion.
recommendation is resolved to grant a planning permit and issue a notice of decision for the development of land for 34 dwellings, removal of native vegetation, creation of easements and creation of council reserves at lots 1, 2 and 3 on the title plan 171995B, Crown Allotment 14, Section 12. Parish of Maryborough being 7 and 22 Sebastopol Road, Maryborough, subject to the following conditions. Now, I'm not reading, this is in the recommendation. In the recommendation is 1 to 73 conditions as part of the recommendation. I'm not reading all them out in the recommendation. Can I go further? Can I go on?
Thank you. Do you wish to speak to this?
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Murphy.
I am speaking to this for debate as well as the following situation. Thank you. This application is a planning development for approval. We've been told by the state government to build. We've been told by the state government we need dwellings. It is in a residential zone. It meets the planning requirements. Some confusion is that in March last year, the state government changed Section 55 to the planning requirements to Section 655, which allows this type of development to go ahead, which means the state government wants these to go ahead. Before that, no. After that, yes. So it's gone from 21 lots to 34. You'll find this is happening across the state, but at least it is not a 3 or 4 story apartment as in Druin 46, Warrigal 52, minimal car parking, very box build, and the local government has no say. They were told they have to do this. So there's no permit requirements. So as in a recommendation, there's 73 conditions. Again, is on residential land. If it's defeated tonight, if it goes to VCAT, these conditions may disappear. Because VCAT could take it on and say yes or no, but if they say it goes ahead, they can say there's no conditions. I've seen that before, especially in broader farms. Finally, the state government, through Housing Choices Victoria, want development to go ahead. It is difficult for us around this table. You get conflicted by everything in here. But the state government wants this to happen. If it doesn't happen there, where does it happen? And they are moving that way. In some ways, you go, well, why do you have local government? But there are reasons. I'm betwixt and between with the whole thing. This is out here for debate. But don't be fooled. The state government changed stuff in March last year for this to happen, which people are allowed to do that. Developers are not allowed to change things, and our planning officers are doing what they're supposed to do. And I must say, the planning officers here are one of the tightest ones in the state. Very hard. Very, very hard. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Yes, Councillor Long, do you wish to speak?
I would love to speak to this. I'll be taking a slightly different angle. I would hereby like to speak for the motion to allow a 34 dwelling development at 7 Sebastopol Road. Maryborough is, and has been for some time, experiencing a rental crisis. Almost on a daily basis, there are posts on the community social media pages from people desperate for rentals. The stories are heartbreaking, and comments on the post almost always contain the phrases, "Good luck with finding something in Maryborough." Whenever our 2 farmhouses rental comes up, there's a list as long as your arm of people that need accommodation, desperately. Everyone is working, but the fact is that there are just not enough properties to go around. This 34 home development is in partnership with YWCA, who provide low-cost subsidised rental accommodation to women who are employed. And that brings me to my next point, homelessness, and in particular homelessness amongst middle-aged women. The most recent comprehensive data comes from the 2021 census conducted by the Australian Bureau of Statistics and recent reporting from the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare. A national snapshot of Australia. At the time of the 21 census, 1,222,494 people were experiencing homelessness in Australia. Women comprised approximately 44% of all people experiencing homelessness. For women aged 55 years and over, the homelessness rate was approximately 19 per 10,000 people in that age group. AIHW Specialist Homelessness Services data from 22 to 23 shows that older women are one of the fastest growing cohorts seeking assistance, with numbers of women aged 55 plus presenting to services nearly doubling over the past decade. Doubling. A Victoria and regional context, in Victoria, approximately 30,660 people were reported as homeless in the 21 census. The rate of homelessness in regional and rural LGAs remains significant, with limited social housing supply increasing pressure on vulnerable older residents. The Shire of Central Goldfields has an older than average population demographic, which places it within the broader national risk profile for housing insecurity amongst older women. The key drivers identified nationally include rental stress and low vacancy rates, lower lifetime earnings and superannuation balances for women, relationship breakdown, family violence and chronic illness, limited availability of affordable and appropriate housing options for older single women. Many older women experiencing homelessness are not visibly sleeping rough, but they are in fact living in insecure or temporary arrangements such as couch surfing, overcrowded housing and short-term stays, meaning the issue is often under-recognised. This group includes tertiary educated, previously employed women who have experienced a critical life event such as a divorce. Given these trends, older women remain a growing at-risk cohort, particularly in regional communities where housing options are already constrained. Add to this that 87% of older women seeking services are single and 54% are living alone. They are easily overlooked for rentals compared to families, growing families. YWCA will only rent to women who are employed. However, if they are in a relationship and there is a breakdown, the woman gets to keep the rental and the male or whoever partner moves out. If the woman becomes unemployed, they are no longer eligible and will need to find other accommodation. We, as councillors, are the planning authority and therefore must assess the application in accordance with the planning scheme, including, in the case of this application, the statutory requirements under clause 55 and the relevant zoning and policy provisions. Officers have recommended that the non-compliance with standard B2/1 for street setback is acceptable. This is because the proposal being considered on neighbourhood character and an efficient use of site area as per the objective related to that standard. I will be voting for this development to go ahead as it will address a massive rental shortage in Maryborough. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Long. Is the motion opposed?
Yes, it is.
Yes, Councillor Bella.
I speak against this recommendation. We are asked to approve 34 single dwellings subject to 73 permit conditions. But let us remember the history. The original application, planning permit 063/24 for 21 individually titled dwellings on this land was approved in June 2025. Importantly, it was supported by the community. It was considered an appropriate subdivision that responded to the residential character of the Ghost Gums. Residents believed the matter was settled. March 25, planning controls relaxed under clause 55. The developer entered into partnership arrangements with state agencies and returned with a materially different proposal. 34 dwellings, single blanket title, and external property management based in Melbourne, focused on community and affordable housing. So I ask why? Why? When the original application was approved, virtually no objections at all. Why move to a more intensive model? It is not the role of council to determine commercial and private profitability. Our duty is to assess planning merit and community impact. Yet, too many residents, this feels opportunistic, driven by regulatory change rather than neighbourhood character and community expectation. This is a significantly different development outcome. This proposal is a single title development under centralised management. The layout, access, amenity and servicing outcomes are materially different and they require careful scrutiny. We speak often about quality of life and community wellbeing. Those principles are embedded throughout our council plan and strategies. They must mean something. Almost 50 objections were received. That is not insignificant, councillors. A consistent theme when listening to objectors was lack of transparency and indeed fear. Residents had accepted a 21 lot proposal. The 34 dwelling version came as a lightning bolt out of the blue. Let me be clear, this is not opposition to housing supply. I support increased housing, incredibly so, but I am deeply concerned about this development in this location and in this form. The entire site is covered by a bushfire management overlay. Clause 13.021S is explicit. Protection of human life is the highest planning priority. Development must reduce risk to an acceptable level, including ensuring safe access and egress for the whole community. Adding 34 dwellings could mean an additional 60 to 100 residents in a high-risk bushfire area. Yet, the bushfire management assessment, traffic impact assessment and planning report do not adequately address the cumulative evacuation risk or the capacity of the surrounding road network during a bushfire event. There is effectively one way in and one way out, councillors, serving not just this site, but 8 surrounding streets. The documentation refers to a leave early policy, but provides no detailed evacuation strategy. Residents' fear is real. Some lived through previous bushfires. They understand what congestion and delayed evacuation can mean. I, for one, do not wish to be remembered as part of a council that ignored those warning signs. Flooding is another serious concern. Adjoining businesses and residents report frequent flooding. There are unresolved questions about drainage, capacity infrastructure limitations, waste collection on a narrow internal private road, and the availability of local services to meet increased demand. We have also heard that emergency services frontline responders have concerns. You've heard that. Yes, officers have assessed the application under updated clause 55 provisions, as they do. Yes, it may meet the technical requirements on paper, but we are not here to simply tick a regulatory box. Our role is broader than compliance. Our council plan speaks of community wellbeing, safety, transparency and confidence. Those are not hollow words. This proposal is more intensive development in a high-risk location with unresolved concerns about evacuation, flooding, infrastructure capacity and community safety. Almost 50 objections and a petition of more than 350 signatures reflect community that feels blindsided. This,
Councillor Lavella, you're exceeding your 3 minutes.
may I indulge you, Mr Mayor, and just finish my
Yes.
Thank you, thank you. This is not about opposing housing. It is not about the community opposing housing. It is about scale, safety and confidence. So in conclusion, last June, a 21 lot subdivision was approved and broadly accepted. What is before us tonight is materially different, higher density, single blanket title in a bushfire prone area with constrained access. Our responsibility is not mere compliance, it is to prioritise human life, it is to safeguard community well-being and to uphold the confidence placed in us. I remain hopeful the developer will reflect on the previously approved 21 individual titled homes, a proposal supported by officers and broadly accepted by the community, and work with us toward an outcome that restores confidence and ensures safety. Councillors, we are entrusted with the responsibility to safeguard our community. Tonight I intend to honour that responsibility, and for those reasons I cannot support that proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lavella. Any other councillors wish to speak to this? Yes, Councillor Bartlett.
Yeah, I might just add a couple of points. The Justice of Grace has just enunciated, but the local government charter, part 1A, section 3C, the objectives of a council. Point 1 is the primary objective of a council is to endeavour to achieve the best outcomes for the local community, having regard to the long-term cumulative effects of decisions. And I think Councillor Lavella has covered almost everything. I'd just like to point out to fellow councillors the amount of written objections we received. Cumulatively, they went over flooding, car parking, access, house value, properties devalued, numerous other provisions.
Thank you, Councillor Bartlett. Any other councillors? Councillors, I'd like to say a couple of words. I may gently disagree with both Councillors Murphy and Lavella. I disagree to the extent that I do not agree that the proposal meets all of the objectives of the planning scheme, clause 55 itself. To that, I'll draw everyone's attention, if I may, to standard B2-1, B2-6, B3-7, which refer to setbacks, frontage, and room, internal room sizes, respectively. I would submit that because these matters have not been ticked, that we do not fall within the deemed-in provisions as required by the Act. According to clause 55, as Councillor Murphy reminds us from March last year. Given that those three items do not make threshold, then I submit that one is invited to a further activity, and that is to look through a decision-making criteria, through decision guidelines to objectives. The reports by the hard-working planning staff executives first instance they suggest that the matters are met. I respectfully, very respectfully disagree with that proposition. Because of those three items that do not satisfy Clause 55, and therefore we are no longer within an opt-in or deemed-in situation, then it's my view that other considerations may be valued, assessed. Some might say that we must have a narrow view at the council development, expressed very well as all councillors have tonight. Thank you. That we have quite a duty to the council. We have an utmost duty. I also appreciate Councillor Long's submissions in respect to the need for proper housing for a vulnerable section of the community. Also note Councillor Bella's point that a previous application of 21 dwellings would go a long way to allaying such pressing issues. For that reason, I would speak against the motion respectfully, and I'd like to finish on a note that we often find ourselves in difficult situations. We have, on one hand, the noble cause of a housing shortage, particularly for vulnerable persons. On the other hand, we have the extraordinary level of community objections. Now, I might add, the nature of those objections is not what one of the classes in. Many of the objectors thought about the proposed residents of the dwellings when they pointed out that the dwellings would be, in effect, tiny, cramped. I thank you. I've spent a lot of time. I won't give myself any more time. I think that would be improper. And I'll finish up on that. So I'll now put anyone else wish to speak? Thank you, CEO.
No, I've got no.
So now,
I don't want. I've got a right
yes,
of
thank
reply.
you, Councillor Long.
No, I don't need to have a right of reply.
You wish to?
No, I don't need to have a right of reply. Thank you very much, sir.
Apologise. Thank you, Councillor Long. Thank you, Councillor Murphy. I'll now put the motion to the vote. Let me be clear. The motion, as it stands, is to pass the recommendation. So I'll put the motion to the vote. Those who say aye. Thank you. For we have councillor. Those who say nay. We have a tie. Excuse me while I receive some advice from our CEO. Thank you. I've been advised to cast and vote, and I wish to exercise that with a nay.
Thanks.
Thank you all for your considered submissions.
Can I call the division, please?
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Those who say nay, all in favour? Councillor Murphy, Councillor Meyer, Councillor Long. Those who say no to motion. Thank you, Councillor Lavella, Bartlett, Green. Casting Green. Thank you, councillors. That motion has not been carried.
Okay, next.
I now move to item. I might invite Councillor Villiers.
So Douglas Road's been taken out.
taken out. No, it's this.
How's the other one?
He's going to bring that up. He's bringing that up. He's bringing that up.
Thank you, Councillor. It is saying,
Just-
something to say about
Yeah, I do have something to say.
Go.
Let me just find my words, otherwise I'm going to forget what I need to say. So the reason I decided to declare a conflict of interest is because I made an unassociated referral to an external developer during a conversation with the developer a month ago. And I just felt that that could come back to bite. So I decided to declare a conflict of interest.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, councillors, we now move to item 7.3.
He's making
Yes, Councillor.
I'd like to propose an alternative motion to item 7.3, D070-24 10 Dundas Road, Maryborough.
Yes.
Seek to read the motion.
Yes, thank you, Councillor. Second first. We have a second. Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Thank you, CEO.
That council, having considered all the matters required under section 74 of the Planning and Environment Act 1987, determines to issue a notice of decision to grant a permit in planning application D070-2 for building and works in a heritage overlay in accordance with the following conditions. The permit allows buildings and works to develop an existing dwelling in a heritage overlay. Planning scheme 43.01-1. The matter for which the permit has been granted is to construct a building or construct or carry out works. The following conditions apply to this permit. Plans are required. Point 1. Before the development commences, amended plans to the satisfaction of the responsible authority must be submitted to and approved by the responsible authority. When approved, the plan will be endorsed and will then form part of the permit. The plans must be drawn to scale with dimensions. The plans must be generally in accordance with the plans prepared by CS Building Design dated 11th September 2025 and submitted with the application but modified to show, point A, all 6 windows facing the street and driveway indicated for replacement, W1 to W6 on the plans, are to be double hung style, not awning, and can include fixed glazing as per the size and scale of the existing windows. 2 is the endorsed plans. The development as shown on the endorsed plans must not be altered without the prior written consent of the responsible authority. External cladding. 3. All external cladding and trim of the proposed building, including the roof, must be of a non-reflective nature. Cladding materials must be coloured or painted in neutral colours or in colours satisfactory to the responsible authority. Construction activities. 4. The development must be managed during construction in an ongoing manner to the satisfaction of the responsible authority, so that the amenity of the area is not detrimentally affected through A. Transport of materials, goods or commodities to or from the land. B. Appearance of any building, works or materials. C. Emission of noise, artificial light, vibration, smell, fumes, smoke, vapour, steam, soot, ash, lily dust, wastewater, waste products, drinking water, and D. Presence of vermin or animals. Asset protections. Point 5. At all times, permit holder must ensure that the operation and condition of council assets, including street trees, drainage pits, and covers, footpaths, curb and channel, are not damaged by the site construction works. If the responsible authority deems council assets have been detrimentally affected or damaged by the development, construction access, then the assets will be required to be repaired and reinstated by the permit holder to the satisfaction of the responsible authority. Construction, point 6, all construction and ongoing activities must be in accordance with principles and controls outlined in Environment Protection Authority Victoria publication 1834.1, civil construction, building and demolition. Sediment control. 7. The contractor must restrict sediment discharges from any construction sites within the land in accordance with the construction techniques of sediment pollution control, the EPA 1991 Environment Guidelines for Major Construction Sites, 1995. General drainage. 8. Proposed building and works must be drained to the satisfaction of the responsible authority to the legal discharge. Permit expiry is 9. This permit, as it relates to the development, building and works will expire if one of the following circumstances apply. The development is not started within 2 years of the issue of the date of permit, and the development is not completed within 4 years of the issue date of the permit. In accordance with section 69 of the Planning Environment Act 1987, an application may be submitted to the responsible authority for an extension of the permits to, in this condition, if the request is made in writing, where either of the following instances apply. A, before or within 6 months after the permit expiry date, where the use or development allowed by the permit has not yet started. C, B, within 12 months after the permit expiry date, where the proposal allowed by the permit has lawfully started before the permit expires. Planning notes on the building. This permit is issued pursuant to the provisions of the Central Goldfields Planning Scheme and does not relieve the permit holder of the necessity to obtain a building permit pursuant to the Building Act 1903 prior to the commencement of any construction or any part of the site. Has only been assessed under the Heritage Overlay provisions of the Central Goldfields Planning Scheme, and no other site has ever been considered.
Thank you, Councillor Barton. You have a second name? Thank you very much. Do we have any opposition to this motion? Does anyone wish
Can I
to
talk?
speak?
Can I talk? As a seconder, can I talk?
Yes. Yes, Councillor Merton. Just return the favour.
Okay. I'm the seconder, and I'm speaking
Thank you.
after.
I do apologise.
You got to speak first, mate. Sorry, I jumped in.
I would like to speak to the motion.
Yep,
Yes,
I'm a seconder.
So the justification for this alternative motion and reasoning for change has been considered, the property has already had works that may be considered not in accordance with heritage provisions, such as the replacement of the west wall cladding, vertical corrugated metal, as the timber weatherboards have deteriorated. Point 2 is there are other properties within this broad precinct and that also have works that impact the heritage integrity of the precinct, which is the following. The heritage consultants who prepared the 2023 Maryborough Heritage Review report on the changes have made the following assessment on the Palmerston Street precinct. It's the precinct which is yet to come into effect. Overall, this precinct presents as a rather modest and slightly less intact precinct. The property is not individually listed for heritage protection, but rather contained within one larger Maryborough heritage. It's the H206 overlay. Provides no specific controls over external painting, internal alterations, trees, fences or outbuildings, with the only specific control being the solar panels. The 2023 Maryborough Heritage Review proposed more specific precinct areas, and this property is on the outer edge of the proposed Palmerston Street precinct, with an adjoining 1980s brick dwelling at number 8 Dundas Road, considered not complementary. No further properties north of number 10 are considered to warrant inclusion. The proposal preserves a single, this proposal preserves a single dwelling on a large, fully serviced site, as given the Residential Zoning Council could have been placed when an application for a demolition. Survey medium density development, as we've just discussed, in line with obstacle directions from Plan for Victoria. So the proposal is to renovate the existing dwellings so the owner's farming parents can move off the farm and into town, whilst the dwelling owner will move into the farm property to continue the farming enterprise. So this supports farm succession. Proposed works to remove southwest and southeast facing timber weatherboards and replace with more modern concrete composite weatherboards will provide greater insulation and fire resistant qualities than timber weatherboards, as well as less maintenance. These works also allow for insulation to be provided on the southwest and southeast aspects, which combined with a veranda on the southwest will protect the dwelling from prevailing wind and rain, as well as increase the energy efficiency of the dwelling. The removal of one step in the facade is to facilitate a more usable and efficient internal layout and is considered appropriate to ensure the single dwelling on a large lot is consistent with prevailing neighbourhood character. Setback of a large outbuilding approved in 2021 aligns with the proposed setback change of the dwelling, and the replacement weatherboards were mainly will not look different to timber weatherboards when viewed from the public. This is not individually property where high conservation works.
That's Richards, thanks, Councillor. Thank you very much. Thanks. Thank you, Councillor Murphy.
Well, I'd like to congratulate Councillor Bartlett on a really good alternative motion, very succinct, and a lot of work has gone into this, I know that, and a lot of thought. I've always been one in that area which comes out of Councillor Bartlett's reasonings, which is right. There's an 80s brick dwelling at number 8 Dundas Road. This is in the Heritage Review. Considered not complementary, and there is no further properties north of number 10 are considered to be warrant inclusion. To me, that's important. Also, what's important is we can call a whole zone heritage, but we have to be logical of the zone and what is heritage. You know, we have just gave approval for a 1960s built house to be pulled down for extra development for a site. Now that's in a heritage zone. By God, if you said over the road's going to be pulled down to expand that site, it wouldn't have happened because that is 150 years old. So in this area here, on this block, I've drove past it, I stood out the front, and I couldn't understand why there's a double 4-car Colorbond garage, which is with two carports at the front, which is, I would say, I don't know, 5 years old. It's pretty new, and it's on the same block of land. It's 1 metre to 2 metres away from the house. In my head, I'm still trying to reason way back when that was whatever said it can go ahead. The Heritage Review may not have been there, but it just doesn't make sense. We have to look at different properties at different situations. We have to realise we can't let go of our heritage. Like we let go in the 60s of all the verandas in the main street. And that was a real thing, and some councils later on in life said that was a bad thing they did. But I can remember town halls being pulled down in the 60s. A lot of things happened in the 60s. What I'm here for is to make sure heritage is there, but it's a logical heritage situation. I know of a couple of places, fibro cement places are in a heritage overlay, and they don't understand why. And one day they'll want to do something. So I'm for it. Thank you. 3 minutes? Good. Thanks. Happy about that.
Can I wrap up?
I just.
Yes.
Righto.
Thank you very much.
Whew.
Do we have any opposition?
Just for clarification, if I may, we are deciding whether to adopt the alternate motion. We're not
Yes.
voting on what's in the alternate motion.
Can you expand on that?
while there's an alternate motion on the table, which is different from the original motion.
Yes,
So correct me if I'm wrong, we need to vote to adopt the alternate motion
indeed,
before
that will,
we debate.
and on adoption, that will become the motion.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you,
Thank you.
councillor Long, thanks for clarifying that.
Yes, motion.
It is the motion.
Oh, it is the motion.
Thank you, CEO.
Then I would like to speak.
Yes, thank you, councillor
Thank
Long.
you, sorry, I just need to clarify that. On Friday, February 19th, 1965, just over 61 years ago, and please indulge me, you'll see where I'm going with this. 61 years ago, the Maryborough Advertiser had a notice that changed our town's high street forever. And I do want to acknowledge a member of the Addy here tonight. I would like to share it, if I may, it's not very long. It stated this: next Thursday is the deadline set for the removal of post-supported verandas in the city shopping area. If structures have not been demolished by then, the council will step in and carry out the work. At its meeting last week, City Council confirmed its intention to start removal of verandas when the time limit expired. Recently, the council advertised for builders to demolish verandas on February 25, which is today, 61 years ago. Most verandas have been replaced with new ones. At the present, however, there are still some old structures standing, one notable section of post-supported verandas still intact in Nolan Street. Present indications are that this could be a job for council at the weekend. 2 or more verandas disappeared. This decision made by the then City of Maryborough Council is one that saddens me beyond words. Tonight, we as councillors are faced with a somewhat similar decision in 10 Douglas Road, Maryborough. This site is located within a heritage overlay, HO 206, and this proposal would result in detrimental impacts to the heritage values of the built environment of the site and its surrounding context. What many of us enjoy most about Maryborough is the history and especially our heritage buildings, including residential. I often speak with visitors and it's the most common item of discussion, our beautiful heritage buildings. Preserving heritage buildings is important for several interconnected reasons. Cultural identity and history, heritage buildings are physical links to the past. They reflect the traditions, values, craftsmanship and ways of life of earlier generations, helping communities maintain a sense of identity and continuity. Educational value, these buildings serve as real-life classrooms. They allow people to learn about history, architecture, engineering and social life in a tangible way that books or images alone cannot provide. Architectural and artistic significance. Many heritage structures showcase unique designs, materials and construction techniques that are no longer used today. Preserving them protects irreplaceable artistic and technical knowledge. Economic benefits, well-preserved heritage site attract tourism, creating jobs and supporting local businesses. Restoration projects also generate skilled employment in conservation and traditional crafts. Environmental sustainability. Reusing and restoring existing buildings reduces demolition waste and the need for new construction materials, making
Councillor Long, it's 3 minutes, please continue.
Oh, thank you. I haven't got much longer. Thank you. Community pride and social cohesion. Heritage buildings often act as landmarks and gathering spaces. Their preservation strengthens community pride and encourages people to value and protect their shared environment. And finally, legacy for future generations. Once destroyed, heritage buildings cannot be truly replaced. Preserving them ensures that future generations can experience, study and appreciate their historical and cultural significance. Yes, it is only one house. However, if allowed to proceed, this will set a precedent for other heritage-listed dwellings in Maryborough. Make no mistake, once they are gone forever. Because of this, I can't allow this to go through. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Long. I'll take that as opposition. Councillor Barton, then Brian.
Well, yeah, I'd just like to make the point that the proposal is not to remove the building, it's simply to renovate one corner of the building. And it would give the owners much more room. The existing facade is still there. And it's already been renovated numerous times in the past. So I think where do we draw the line? The building is still going to actually be there, and like many buildings in Maryborough, you can see they've been nailed onto over the decades and decades. My own personal home has been started off as 4 rooms, now it's 6. It just keeps building. So, and everyone knows it's still a Lions Beach. And you can see progress through the decades when you do evaluate heritage for 100 years. So, it's a lot.
Thank you, Councillor Butt. Any other councillors? Yes, Councillor.
No, I'm right, I've stalked.
Thank you. Well, I'll put that amended motion to the vote.
So
All
just
Yes,
to be
Councillor
double sure,
Sturridge.
so we are voting for the alterations to be made.
Yes.
The motion.
Motion.
The motion. Just the one that's given.
As well read by Councillor
Well, I've
Butt.
read that, but I forgot. Perfect.
So, all those in favour of the motion? Opposed? That is carried.
There's an alarm somewhere.
Okay. Right.
Re-evacuate.
Yes, that's a good point. That is a siren in the background. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, councillors. I will now move to agenda item 7.4. Before we move there properly, councillors, Councillor Long will now leave the room for declared conflict. Would you care to declare?
Certainly.
Go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to declare a conflict of interest on item 7.4. I'm the founding president of the Central Goldfields Bushwalking and Hiking Club Inc. and have been for almost 3 years. The Bushwalking Club and CMRT, Castlemaine Maryborough Rail Trail, which opposed the Broiler Farm development, organised a walk along the Malort Plains Railway line from Malort Solar to Gold Hill last year to consider the likely impact that this development will have on the proposed rail trail if the farms are approved. I'm hence declaring a conflict of interest, and I humbly request being excused from the debate and the vote on this item.
Thank you, absolutely. Thank you very much, Councillor Long. There is a recommendation that the Council's responsible authority grants a permit in respect to the broiler farm application 022-23. Do we have a motion? Councillor Murphy.
Okay. Can I read the summary purpose or just a recommendation?
The recommendation.
Okay, Right.
As the motion.
as a motion. Right, the recommendation, the council as a responsible authority and pursuant to section 61 of the Planning and Environmental Act 1987, decides to grant a permit subject to conditions and issue a notice of decision to grant a permit in respect of planning permit. That sounds like a man of Monty Python show. In respect of planning permit application on 02223 for the use and development of the land for a Class B broiler farm for up to 400,000 birds and caretaker's house with associated buildings and works at 3280 Pyrenees Highway, Malort. The following conditions will apply to this permit. I'm not going to read them out. I'm just going to say, I'm going to mention it's amended plans 1 to 66, including permit notes. Thank you. Second.
Thank you very much, Councillor Murphy.
Need a second.
Do we have a second? Councillor Williams. You care to speak?
Yeah, oh yes, yes I do. 3 minutes, I've got to give me watch up.
Thank you.
Over a number of years, I can think about 10 or 12 years I've been involved in councils and broiler farms. Most times when you say no to a broiler farm, they go to VCAT and they get through. Last year we had a broiler farm. All the officers said no to it. The councillors said no to it. All very good reasons, very good reasons. It goes to VCAT. We fight it in VCAT. And the Central Goldfields Shire loses, and there's a broiler farm going to be built out on the Malort Plains near what this proposal is. This time around, things have changed in somewhat in the actual planning of it. The officers are saying yes to it, and it's now come to us. There's 56 objections? Yes, there's 56 objections, which could go to VCAT. But the officers this time around have actually looked at it, and there's more. They've asked for more, and they've got them more. That's what I'll say. But the important thing is the amended plans of 1 to 66 and the permit notes. If we say no to it, and it goes to VCAT and it wins, the developer, whoever it is, wins, the person, VCAT, the chairman of the VCAT could say, there's no plans, there's no permit. It could just go, we'll just do this, and it's not the whole 1 to 66. These amended plans and permit, they safeguard us in some way about this broiler farm. Another issue why I sit on the fence and I get caught sometimes, but it's right near this proposed rail trail, right near the old railway line, right near that. There's been a government grant for $500,000 to look into this railway line trail that goes all the way to Castlemaine. It's on the go, but it's not planned. It hasn't gone through plan. It's a pity all this is happening. So I sit back and go, which way do you go, Jared? What do you do? So, can I have a bit extra if I go over?
Yes.
Thank you very much. So we've talked about, we recently refused it. VCAT was passed. Then in VCAT it was passed. All the councils here refused it. The officers refused it. They had all their reasons, but it was passed and allowed to build another 400,000 and a caretakers in another area on Barronup Road. The main thing I said, 66 amended plans, including the permit notes. That allows us to have some say over it. Even though I may not agree with broader farms in the area, but it has gone through all the planning, and I'm afraid I can't be a defeatist. But broader farms seem to be like that. It's state government, so it's over there somewhere, and you would just love them to look at that railway line and go bang. But I can't see another way than vote for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor De Villiers.
Yes, I would just like to say that I agree in principle with Councillor Murphy, but we also had a large number of people who are against this in the community. We represent the community. It was mentioned, and I know the officers are working on it. The reason why VCAT manages to pass this is because we do not have the policies and planning in place to deter the development of broiler farms on the Malord Plain. So I believe the officers are busy developing these broiler policies and guidelines to try and deter broiler farms because, for one, we don't know, we don't always subjected to it, but the people living next to the broiler farms all complain about the smell. And if there's one thing that makes life really unpleasant, it's smell. You can live with the noise, but if it's an unpleasant smell, it really adds to misery. This is a really difficult one, as Councillor Murphy said. We can say no, but government will say yes. So we'll see how we go with vote with this.
Thank you, Councillor De Villiers. Would any other councillors in opposition?
Opposition.
Yes, councillor Bailey.
Basically, I know, and dovetailing on the back of what councillor Murphy said and what councillor De Villiers said, we know this will go to VCAT, they're very powerful there, and we brought this to the table previously, but this is more of a plea to the applicant, and I'll just go through a few things. Conditions 63 and 64 of the permit require that before commencing, the owner must enter into a licence agreement for access over big tract land. It surprises me that the applicant has not considered the Central Goldfields Shire is currently working with Mount Alexander Shire to establish the rail trail across the North Plains. This rail trail project has significant funding from state, federal and community sources. It is designed to enhance tourism, which what is in all our documents, support local businesses and create recreational opportunities for residents. I would have expected and hoped the developer would show consideration for this ongoing community initiative. Now, in the advertiser on 11th February 2025, Michael B, and I won't say his surname because my tongue gets caught up in my throat, the applicant, no disrespect meant if you're here, the applicant stated, I don't want to stand in the way of a community project. I'm willing to defer the build of that farm until they get clarity on whether they are going ahead or not. If they're not going ahead, I'll build the farm. If they're going ahead, I'll move the farm. Now, as far as we are concerned, CMRT project is still running on course. And the feasibility's being done. It includes bicycles, walking, horse riding, mobility scooters. Everything is included in this. Now, allowing this development to proceed without regard for it, I fear, undermines years of planning, investment and community effort. So I really would like to see a gesture of goodwill from the developer to really consider this, to possibly tweak your planning a little bit so that we can still continue with the project of the rail trail between Castlemaine and Maryborough. I urge councillors to consider the future impacts of this development and urge the proponent to readjust planning, as I just said.
3 minutes, thank you, councillor.
Finish, I will not support this recommendation in its current form, but as I said, happy to negotiate. I'd love us to negotiate. Keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Bailey. Any other speakers to this? Yes,
Make a
councillor
couple
Bailey.
of comments there. Yeah, the number of objectors we had at the 10th of December's planning hearing is of concern. They all raised the similar issues as councillor De Villiers has already.
Sorry, councillor Butler, it's been advised by CEO that councillor Murphy has.
You can't leave the table.
I didn't leave the table, so I was right here on my chair.
I'm very sorry that the, yeah, they're going.
Yeah, I'd just like to acknowledge the call of the objectors who were at the planning hearing 10th of December. That was very concerning to hear of all their
So no. I'm not going to say yes.
all the sufferings they've been going through, and they're not supposed to be united over this issue, but
So no.
in effect that gives rise to the Local Government Act again. Now,
That's
which
being
will
built,
council in effect to
Just to go there and talk
long-term
about
use
this
of
rail
the
trail.
whole
The
shop. That's
big
our reasons for being here. 66 conditions in the report, but further in the actual recommendations, the officers just noted, so it's probably not many people aware of traffic safety and efficiency on page 489. There's a point in there which says Pyrenees Highway needs to be restricted down to 90 kilometres an hour one direction, 70 kilometres an hour the other. I mean, we've seen other community rally here for issues they're passionate about, whether it's the big roads, the housing, political housing development, and a broader fund. There is a lot of concern by community members, and rightfully so. Once they change the speed limits there, well, it just creates another layer of contentiousness within the community. For the holistic picture of what is actually occurring in the Shire. And another point which was raised myself 2 weeks ago was the neighbouring Shire has now been approached again and being told more on the border. So the whole area may lose its natural beauty is being adversely affected.
Thank you, Councillor Ballard. Yes, Councillor Meyer.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Yeah, I'm going to back up with Councillor Lavella and Councillor Bartlett. I can't accept this one, unfortunately. The objectors reminded me how much the smell was, but I'd also just like to make a quick note on page 485 for anyone that's got a normal copy, 511 for the dyslexic ones, that the state government funding that we have in there is actually a mistake. It's not 120,000. So please take note of that, guys. That is not the correct figure that they've got in here. It's actually more. So thank you to Janice, I think it was, who picked that up for us. But yeah, of course, I've been no to the poultry farms and that from the start, and I'm going to stick to that because, unfortunately, I'd like the opportunity for our officers to go down to VCAT and stick up for the rail trail and let them know that we've got this in the guidelines, and for people that actually like running and cycling, horse riding and all those, why can't they move their plans? Why can't they stick up for a community that's going to bring more to us than someone who's going to put chickens in a shed and doesn't give much back after it's built? There's no income there for us. We don't get the contract for building it. We don't get the contract for the trucks. We don't get the contract for anything except all the money goes elsewhere. So I'm going to go with Bartlett and Councillor Bartlett and Councillor Vella, and I can't accept this. Thank you.
Thank you,
And I'm under my 3 minutes.
No, you're right.
Thanks, Liam.
Any other councillors wishing to speak to that? I'd like to speak to the matter if I may, councillors. Thank you for your submissions this evening. I've performed a few, in addition to local reasons, practical reasons, policy reasons, that there are legitimate technical reasons why these conditions are not sufficiently ameliorated. Many objections ranging from water quality, flora considerations, occupational health and safety considerations, environmental considerations. So I'd be suggesting that I'd be again opposing motion. So with that in mind, I'll yes, Councillor Murphy.
Okay. So my right of reply is that I open it up for debate. We have to open things up for debate sometimes to talk about it and go forward with it. And I'm replying to Grace on what you're talking about is the greater good, and it's the rail trail. I'm applying to that, so it's fine. So I'm I'm,
Point of order, sorry,
I
councillor.
can't hear.
Yeah, thank you, councillor Bella.
Sorry,
I'm
I've
not
got
apologies,
you.
councillor Murphy. I'm having a conversation,
Councillor
I'm
Murphy.
having a conversation with the CEO.
Would you like to continue before we continue?
Yes, it's a good idea.
Okay.
She's asked for a
The
moment.
discussion, you can't, you've got to give them a reply, not a discussion.
Yeah, I'll reply in discussion, yeah.
That's what it is. You can't go back and forth with a couple of choice. That's one of those.
I'm replying to that.
Yeah, I know. That's what they're going to say though.
I know.
Say no.
Yes, right reply. Thank you, councillor Murphy.
My right of reply is
Thank you.
to the group who's saying no, that I can see what you're saying. I can understand it. I really can. And as we sit here in this council, we can change our minds. And I can see where you're coming from. And the rail trail is important. What that fellow said a year ago is important. There's things here which are important. If we say no to this, we can go to VCAT, and the officers can take it to VCAT. And what that is, it's important. So I'm replying to the situation that I can see what the no's are saying. There you go. That's my reply.
Thank you. I do beg your pardon, councillor Murphy. I was just advised by CEO that we can't speculate on what the officers will do.
The officers do it.
In respect to taking.
And I said they could.
Yeah, it's more a point that the
Oh,
officers
will.
will make this recommendation. They cannot represent a different recommendation at VCAT, and we've had practice in this
Oh,
recently, and that's when we need to engage consultants
that's all
to
right.
represent the council view.
Thank you, CEO.
It's a point of
Yeah.
technicality.
Thank you.
It just needs to be.
Appreciate the clarification, CEO.
Semantics.
Thank you, councillor Murphy.
Right.
Right, I'll take that to the vote then for the motion to grant the permit. Those in favour?
Yeah.
Those opposed? The motion is defeated. Thank you, councillor. Can I let councillor Long items, completed?
Yeah, I thought we got it. Just, I was already. Look at that. Why did you do that? There'd be no. What's the word? There'd be no.
Thank you very much. Thank you, councillor Long. We now move to item 7 on the agenda, councillors' reports and general business. Does any councillor have any council reports or general business? There are no council reports or general business. We may proceed to the next item on the agenda, 8, notices of motion. Do we have any notices of motion? There being no notices of motion, we proceed to the next item, 9, urgent business. I don't believe we have any urgent business this evening, councillors. We move to confidential business. I believe we do not have any confidential business this evening. Well, councillors, officers and members of the public, and thank you members of the public for attending both in person and WebEx and downstairs. That concludes the business on tonight's council meeting agenda. Thank you all very much for your attendance. I declare the meeting closed.
Thank you.